free trade. Other nations are taking advantage of us. It should be 0-0 playing field, dude.
You know, the whole argument is bring jobs back here, which is bullshit.
Because he wants to create an oligarchy type of government instead of democracy.
It's going to work out. Just trust the process.
What's going on, everyone? James Klug here. There has been a lot of talk all around the world about Trump's Liberation Day tariffs. So how are Americans feeling about it? Today we're going to find out. Let's go talk to some people. We're getting people's thoughts on Trump's tariffs. What do we think?
The guy's a fucking idiot.
They're horrible. Get rid of Trump.
Oh, really?
A quick answer.
Bad?
Bad.
Yeah.
All I know, the tariffs are is a taxation on the consumer, and
It's a form of protectionism for industries. It could be looked at as that as well, depending on who eats the cost.
Will pay for the tariffs. It's a tax on the American consumer.
I get his idea, and Trump's always up to really unique things, but they seem like they're really hurting the economy right now. But I think long term will be good.
Hell yeah, dude. I'm all for him.
I think what Trump is doing is wonderful.
Yeah. Do you mind if I ask why?
Because I trust Trump.
You know, I think for a long time, America's kind of been, giving a lot of these concessions to other countries, and unfortunately, it's kind of cost us a lot of, American-side jobs in manufacturing.
You tariff us, we tariff you. You start looking at the individual tariffs that Canada was putting on things like 236% plus on chicken. You can't cry. You've been stealing money from us left and right.
In the 20s and 30s, we're a rich country, and maybe lower property taxes, lower income taxes.
What are the goals?
Free trade, dude. Free trade. Other nations are taking advantage of us. It should be 0-0 playing field, dude.
You guys, we're going to get some different perspectives, and then I'm going to give my opinion at the end. Why do you not like the idea of using tariffs the way that Trump's doing it?
Because it's an income tax. It's a tax. And guess where the tax goes? To the government. So now you have to question, why is the government wanting that tax? Right? Isn't it just to collect more tax to give his brothers with lots of financial being to have a break? Surely that's what it's about.
People are hurting financially right now. Some people live paycheck to paycheck. Some people have lost their jobs. Many have lost their jobs because of Doge.
Because he wants to create an oligarchy type of government instead of democracy.
Do you think the world has been taking advantage of Americans over the last few decades? A lot of manufacturing is left to go overseas. What do you think?
I think we're losing our comrades, and it's not going to be pretty.
Do you think that our comrades have had the better end of the deals over the last few decades when it comes to trade, or no?
No, I don't.
Everything is going to be more expensive.
Right. Walmart is having...
J.P. Morgan predicted that it's going to be a 60% chance of bad economy.
Yeah.
So
recession. For sure. So you think that this is just going to be...
And it's going to be a
terrible play.
Thing.
We're going to go into recession, perhaps.
I would definitely, for sure. I believe we will.
Has anybody asked why? Why tariffs? What does it do? What's the benefit? Why are you doing it? Don't you think somebody would reciprocate and tariff us back? Why would... It's a trade war. It's just, it doesn't take much to think through, does it?
It's funny because the trade war is probably the biggest worry there, right? Because that's going to extend the use of tariffs and all of that stuff. Now, over the last handful of days, we've been talking to a handful of people about this. I seem to sympathize with the use of leveraging tariffs just to rebuild a lot of the middle class, because the argument is, right, is a lot of our partners have taken advantage of us for the last few decades, several decades, and also level the playing field with not just tariffs, but how easy it is to do business overseas.
Well,
what are your thoughts about that? Over the last...
Why would you deplete your natural resources if you can deplete others? Doesn't make financial sense, right? If somebody can do it cheaper, better, and easier, why? The whole argument is bring jobs back here, which is bullshit.
So we have the position of this is going to absolutely blow up in our faces, is the position.
Of course it is.
I think in the long run, in the short term, it's going to cause a lot of pain, right? I think it's going to cause pain in the sense that, things are going to increase in price and things are going to increase in terms of, our spending and things like that, And right now with the economy, it's probably going to be a little tough on people. But I do think in the long term, I think there's a secondary kind of trickle-down effect where, businesses are always going to do what's best for businesses, right? So if it starts to become a little bit more expensive to do business overseas, then they're going to have no choice but to come back stateside. And when they do that, essentially what that does is kind of create jobs in the interim. So, but that's going to be kind of in the long term. I know a lot of people like to only think about just the now.
If they come here, it's going to take a long time for corporations to build up. It's not an overnight thing. So it's going to be a painful.
Do you think that is...
I already lost $15,000 on my 401k in 2 weeks. So it's bad.
All right, you guys, let's take a few moments to talk about today's sponsor and the people that made this video possible, private internet access. Using the internet without encryption is like shouting your private messages in a crowded room. Yeah, everyone just saw your cringy joke. Whenever you browse online on an unprotected device like your phone or laptop, your data is basically out in the open and can be viewed by many others like hackers, government censors, and others before it reaches the website you're visiting. That's where PIA VPN comes in. PIA hides your IP address and secures your connection with an encrypted tunnel. This keeps snoopers and bad actors from spying on your private info, especially when you're using public Wi-Fi. And you guys, PIA never tracks or stores your data, and their strict no logs policy has even been proven in court multiple times. PIA also comes with entertainment benefits and lets you unlock region-restricted content from anywhere in the world. Ever tried to watch a sports event only to get hit with a blackout restriction? Well, with PIA, you can bypass that and stream your favorite game anywhere you are. PIA works with all major streaming services and has servers in 91 countries to choose from in all 50 US states. Here's how easy it is to use. Go ahead and download private internet access, click begin, and you're ready to go. And by the way, they of course have mobile apps, so you can do the same thing there on your phone. The best part is, with only one subscription, you can protect an unlimited amount of devices at the same time. Go to piavpn.com/JamesKlug or hit that link down in the description below to take advantage of this 83% discount. You guys, that is $2.03 per month. Plus, you'll also get an extra 4 months completely free. This is the VPN that I personally love to use, and I think you guys are gonna really love it too. Take advantage of this. It's completely risk-free, 30-day money-back guarantee. Hit that link down in the description below. All right, let's get back to this video. Do you think the long-term benefits of this tariff strategy is going to outweigh the short-term negatives?
Well, no one has had any guts to do anything like this for probably about half a century, probably since the 16th Amendment.
I think inflation's going to go up because you're going to have a trade war with other countries. But once that all gets established, I think prices will go down because you're going to buy American stuff.
Trump always does things that seem outlandish, and then he's a good businessman, and so he'll bring it back to something that'll be beneficial, I think.
How's it working out now? It's not. And do you really buy into this, let's just hang in there and it'll be all better?
Wait,
how? Tell me how it's going to be better.
I think if you're asking me my position, I don't think it's been working out for the last few decades. We've hollowed out the working class in America. Via NAFTA, I would actually argue in a lot of cases as well.
What? How so?
And a lot of big business.
How so?
Because who benefited from NAFTA, would you say? It was white-collar workers, people that moved factories overseas.
I don't see the country hurting.
When it comes to, let's say NAFTA, I brought up NAFTA, right?
Okay.
Implemented in what, 1994, okay? Up until 2010, there was a net loss of about 700,000 manufacturing jobs. Manufacturers moved overseas, we got some cheaper goods, but hold on. But we've been doing deals like that for a long time to where we've been hollowing out our working class, not protecting industries. And those people have been losing their jobs over the last few decades.
It's a shift. It's a shift to services. What we're good at is being smart. What we're good at is being creative. So that's what we've been doing, right? What we're not so good at is cheap labor. We're not so good at putting a nut and bolt together and saying we can do that for $2 versus $10. So
totally agree. And this is where the interesting part about all this happening right now is you would argue that a lot of factories look different today than they did 40 years ago. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely.
Why would you agree with that?
Because we've invested in things like intelligence and robotics and smartness and everything else.
So doesn't that take away from your argument of saying the cheap labor of putting bolts and stuff together? We could have factories back over here in the United States because now we're at a point where with the AI revolution, we can actually largely compete with a lot of these factories overseas. So why not bring them back?
Because here's your problem. With the rising prices for various produce and etc., you're going to need higher salaries. So these...
For who?
for the people that are working
in the
from
factories?
America, yeah. And so you're going to get cheaper labor overseas, which is why all this big industry has been going overseas for labor. So the problem is that you are creating a situation where we're never going to get out of it.
Oh, I'm sorry. My point of that was the AI kind of revolution that we're seeing in factories.
Right.
Would you think that that's actually even the playing field because we're not having to compete against slave labor anymore? Or largely that's kind of going away?
But Americans aren't going to work in the fields, if that's what you're asking.
Well, I'm talking about, like,
the
let's say
slave-
manufacturing and automotive or in technology, they would 100% be working in those factories. Just not, it's not going to be like a factory line like we used to have, right?
Would they? Ask yourself, would they?
Are they now?
That's
Are
the
people
question.
working in the factories now?
Well,
No.
most of the ones that are working are getting laid off right now.
Well, and immigrant labor.
Is what,
no.
what we're seeing on the news.
I'm just trying to say that there are people that work in these factories. It doesn't look like it used to, but do you think that we should still bring those factories back now that we can compete against AI
we
when
can't
it comes
compete.
to factories?
We can't compete. I mean, that's the ridiculous part of it.
Do you think that it's a good cause to try to bring some of that manufacturing back so working class people can get those jobs? Even if it does mean short-term increase in prices, let's say, for example.
So I want to see a statistic, though, that bases like that it's a guaranteed plan that prices are going to drop. Because unlike what Trump says, he can't force prices to drop of groceries, of oil, of anything. He can't force it. It's just not, that's not how the trade market works. And by shutting out Canada, Mexico, and all these other countries, he's basically creating the U.S. It's like more like just a lone country, even though we should be working together.
Canada and Mexico right now, they're a part of a different tariff, which is trying to get the borders under control and whatnot. That's a different story for right now, I guess. But
they're still importing, the tariffs are still importing 25% on eggs, electricity, things like that. So it's like,
What do you think about the argument, buy American?
Well, buying American is a lot more expensive. And
For eggs?
No. Just
We sell them our eggs.
They've got to onshore all our companies that had moved offshore for manufacturing, and we've got to get more manufacturing self-sufficient. And if they can accomplish those two things and keep the tariffs up to somewhat keep out, cheap Chinese and other countries where they dump their goods here and undercut our prices and our companies, I think it'll work great in the long run. It's just a matter of the intermediate period. I think people are going to panic, and I don't think they're going to be able to endure the suffering very well because it's going to take probably at least 4 years to get transitioned, is my opinion.
If it goes the opposite way, if using tariffs to renegotiate trade and bring some manufacturing back works, would you be like, good job?
I would have to wait and see, but I think it's going to take years, and I think there's going to be a lot of suffering between now and then.
Do you think it is worth years to bring manufacturing back to the United States?
Personally, no.
What I'm running into right now for people that are anti, Trump using tariffs to renegotiate trade or bring manufacturing back to the United States, the main thing that I'm finding is that they just genuinely do not believe that this is going to be effective. They think it's just going to blow up in Trump's face. So the long term doesn't make any sense.
Sure.
What would you say to somebody like that? I know it's kind of a big question, but take your time if you'd like.
It is. That's a valid question, right? Because I think people who are kind of Trump detractors, I think they immediately want to see him fall on his face, right? And so I think it does kind of play into their narrative, right? Things are kind of expensive. There's a lot of inflation going on right now, so that kind of plays into their card, right?
I don't even think they think anything Trump's doing, they're against.
We're talking to some Democrats right now that are saying, okay, well, it's pain and there is no gain. They do not see an upside. They think it's just going to all blow up in his face. Does that surprise you that that's their response?
Not
or no?
one bit. No. I mean, that's always going to be their response. They have been taking and funding too many NGOs. It's been wasteful spending, so we have to cut everything out because we're going bankrupt, cut the spending, and then adjust the taxes, have the tariffs, and everything's going to go into a cycle. So it's going to be a very interesting 25, I'm sure of it.
Do you guys think that there would be any chance that there would be a long-term benefit to all this that would perhaps be better than the short-term negatives? What do you think?
I believe.
Is that a fair question?
The answer is no.
Do you think it's worth doing when it comes to using as a negotiation tool? Do you think it's a good idea when it comes to using that to renegotiate trade or bring some manufacturing back? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'll give up my Serbian AKs for America First. Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, like honestly.
There's a really cool comment you just made right there.
Yeah, they're getting hurt, but oh well.
So it's a big gamble. We're all going to learn something, but it's really pre-1913 economics he's getting us back to, and we haven't seen those mechanisms in play anywhere in the world since 1913.
I think Trump is doing everything he can for this country to make it better and as fast as he can.
It's all going to basically work out. I think that's good. I keep trying to understand. It's going to work out. Just trust the process. So
right. It's a risky play. I think a lot of people acknowledge that, but a lot of people do have faith in the administration. That's what they voted for.
So Amazon, right? I buy everything from Amazon. I'm building a backyard right now and all kinds of stuff.
Nice.
Like literally when I priced things out 3 months ago before Trump took office, things were probably 20% cheaper. So prices are going up. They are, because all that stuff's coming from China, right? Maybe the tariffs on their side are more, but I'm okay with that, dude, if it ends up more Americans getting jobs in the long term. So we'll see.
Business has no conscience. That if I can exploit somebody and maximize their profit for $0, I'll do it, right? If I can get somebody to put that nut and bolt together for $1, I have no conscience, I'll do it, right? So in America, where does business get its conscience? It gets its business conscience through regulation. The government steps in and says, no, that's not right, that's not fair.
But we're deregulating.
It gets its business conscience from unionism, right? God, we'll get together and we will say that's not good enough.
They're pushing the unions out in Amazon.
Now pushing unions out. And the third place.
You guys support unions?
I'm actually a union supporter, yes.
You support unions, but you don't support bringing the manufacturing back because it'll be too expensive?
No, that's not a contradiction. I laid out for you the 3 things that gives business a conscience. And guess what happens when you attack those?
Yeah.
Revolution. Trust me, revolution. That's what happens. You have an uprising where the masses just say, to hell with this.
Well, that's what's already
to
happening
hell
with
this.
1,000 people
We
showing up.
will, you know what, if you're not listening to us with legislation, with regulation, with unionisms, we'll just have an uprising. To hell with you. And we'll throw away the government. We'll just toss it to the
wind. If they could be
wind.
union jobs when they came back, let's say you raise tariffs, leverage that, get manufacturing back to the United States, they're union jobs, would you support that? I'm just curious.
No, you sidetracked. You went off.
Well, I'm just curious.
Let's stay on revolution.
Do you mind answering that question? I'm just curious.
No, let's stay on revolution. I'll come back. Let's stay on revolution.
Okay.
What do you see growing right now? What do you see happen yesterday? Protest. Protest. Where does that protest go? It gets bigger, it gets bigger, it gets bigger, until what do you have?
A bigger
Revolution.
protest.
A bigger protest and revolution.
You already have people
right?
blowing up
So,
Teslas.
Yeah, there's a lot of violence going on from Democrats.
For somebody who
a lot of
drives
violence
a
going on from
Tesla,
Democrats right now.
Scary out there.
No, it's not Democrats. You're pretty quick to label that. I see
Republicans attacking Teslas.
I wouldn't be surprised. You just can't make statements like that blindly. Sorry. I'm sure there are
Republicans that are anti-Trump and
I'm sure
Elon Musk.
You can't just make it a statement and therefore it's true. You can't say, well, Teslas are being attacked by Democrats only. There's no fact. There's no truth to that.
I think it's pretty obvious that that's the case right now.
No, I think it's obvious that people are losing their jobs. Yeah. People are just losing their jobs because you've got some guy by the name of Musk and they're doing Trump's work.
Yeah. Should the federal government downsize?
Absolutely. We should have a nice, tight audit over where we spend our tax dollars.
Isn't that happening right now?
No, it's not.
It's not.
Look what Musk is doing. Do you think that's okay to what he's doing to
I'm sorry.
putting a lot of people out of business?
What you're talking about out of
Elon
business?
Musk.
Who's he putting out of business?
Well, look at he cut in education, government, the VA, the
federal jobs.
CDP. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that's gonna hurt the economy too.
Should we not be downsizing federal government?
Well, of course, but in the proper manner.
What is the proper manner?
There's waste, but that's why you got the watchdogs to see who the real bad performers are in government, and to scale back instead of just chopping.
Isn't Doge the watchdogs?
Yeah, but they're not doing it the right way. They're just going out everybody. People who have good performance, top performances, they're getting cut off.
Well, there's legal issues when it comes to laying off people. And Doge isn't laying off people, they're recommending
Listen,
to department
Doge
heads.
Elon Musk was not selected by the people. We select our government leaders.
No cabinet members were selected by the people.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The House, the Senate, we all pick.
Those are elected officials, but when it comes to the federal government, those people aren't elected.
Yeah, but he's
Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, they ran, and then they get to pick their cabinet and their advisors. No advisors are
back
elected.
to the tariffs. I believe it's going to be painful.
Government is government, business is business. You cannot run government like it's a business. It doesn't work that way. You can't give people health care and say, I need to make a profit from that. You can't pick people out of the gutter and treat them fair and nice and raise them up to be value in society and say, how do I make a profit from that? You're not going to. Sorry.
Well, you do have to balance a budget, though. You do have to balance a budget. How have we done on that?
Oh, we're doing great. We're doing great.
Okay.
We really are, because what has to happen...
Do you know what our deficit was last year?
Deficit is a meaningless number. Do you appreciate that?
Do you know what our deficit was?
You tell me.
You can guess. I'll let you guess. How about that?
You know what? Again,
$1.8 trillion.
Okay, $1.8 trillion.
We're almost $37 trillion in debt.
I find that. But do you understand what a deficit is?
We're spending more than we're bringing in.
Yes, that's a fair statement if you look at it that way.
The conversation's obviously incredibly complicated, right? It makes it difficult to even do a street video. However, I'm pretty impressed with a lot of people's knowledge. And another argument that we are finding is that this is to benefit the top 1% earners of the tariffs. Do you see that as being a good argument or a bad argument? And I'll give you my answer after yours as well, if you like.
Personally, I think that argument is real flawed, because essentially, I know that it will bring, in terms of the businesses back to the USA, and I understand there's 1% that runs those businesses, but the secondary effect is they have to hire people, right? And so if they are forced to bring their businesses back here to the USA, they have no choice but to hire stateside. They have no choice but to hire Americans and put Americans back to work. And so I just think the argument of it only benefiting the 1% is just flawed. Essentially, when we start the boom of hiring and manufacturing, I mean, that benefits everyone. That doesn't just benefit just the 1%.
I'm not a pessimist, not an optimist, but there's a chance it works, yeah. I'm willing to just see it through.
I'm 50-50. I think Americans have gotten pathetically weak and they can't take suffering anymore. What it takes to sacrifice, to rebuild, to get this accomplished.
It's going to be a shock value on prices are going to go up for a short term, but then things are going to correct, and we're going to have the taxes be dumped down. So there's going to be more money into the economy because people have more money to spend, save, retire, invest, so everything will come out just fine.
We're all reactionary. We love that little spike of dopamine of like, oh, Lahaina burned down, and then 3 weeks later, let's go over. Right? They don't care. So the idea is this is a pump and dump moment to hate Trump.
Give it a little bit of time, because we've been going the exact opposite way, and let's see what happens.
Dude, I'm just with Trump and Elon, man. Let's just reduce some of the wasteful spending. Let's get Americans back to work. Let's get our finances in order, dude. And let's start worrying about the USA for a change.
All right, you guys, that is it for today. So we had some pretty interesting responses. Let me know your thoughts about Trump's tariffs down in the comment section below. And if you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe for more videos and hit that bell notification button so you are notified next time I post. I'll catch you all in the next video. Excuse me, your thoughts on Trump's tariffs. Thank you for your thoughts.